It was on this rural street in Bedford County where Ron LaFlamme became number 41.
I was surprised when he started asking me to do a sobriety test.
Not the 41st person to be arrested by Trooper Asa Pearl for DUI, the 41st to have that DUI ultimately dismissed.
It was wrongful arrest and, oh, don't get me going.
In fact, word was getting around Bedford County about Trooper Pearl's DUI dismissal rate.
I know that during the time that Ron's case was making its through the court, Ron's case was not the only one with this particular trooper where blood results were coming back negative.
But finding proof of all those dismissed DUIs wasn't easy. No mention of them in Pearl's personnel file. And so we filed an open records request with the Bedford County clerk and found these. Dozens of DUI arrests dismissed, all made by Trooper Pearl between 2021 and 2024. Then we obtained this, a spreadsheet put together at our request by the Bedford County DA's office, explaining why each DUI was possibly dismissed. Here's what it shows. In 8 of the cases, including Ron's, the drivers had neither drugs nor alcohol in their system. In 14 other cases, the driver's blood alcohol level was within legal limits and no drugs were found. And that adds up to 22 cases where Pearl arrested someone for DUI and they were sober.
I don't even take prescription drugs. I take 1 vitamin a day.
The other 19 DUIs dismissed are just as confounding. Look, several cases had to be dismissed because Pearl was no longer available for court or couldn't recall the events of the arrest. And we wanted to talk to Pearl about all of this. Why so many sober DUIs on the streets of Bedford County? Why was he not available for court or couldn't remember details? But Pearl never responded to our emails or calls. All his personnel file shows is that in 2024, he resigned from the THP. No reason given. But Pearl is not forgotten in this county, especially by 41 people. We reached out to the THP with our findings asking for an interview, but we received no response.
Welcome to Team Tiggio Court TV, where we upload videos every single day. So make sure you subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and share our videos.
What if a highway patrol trooper pulled over and arrested 41 people for DUI over 3 years, and every single one of those cases was thrown out? Even worse, in more than half, 22 drivers, blood tests proved 0 alcohol or drugs in their system. They were completely sober and innocent of the charges. Yet these people endured the full nightmare: handcuffs, booking, mugshots, court appearances, legal fees, potential license suspensions, job threats, and lasting stigma. The trooper responsible? He quietly resigned in 2024 with 0 explanation, no mention of the 41 dismissed cases in his personnel file, no disciplinary action, and no apology to the victims. His record stays spotless, meaning he could walk into another department tomorrow and start the pattern again. This occurrence is not an isolated error. It is a disturbing pattern uncovered by a February 2026 WSMV4 investigation in Bedford County, Tennessee. Today on Team Tiggio Court TV, we do a full deep dive into the Asa Pearl scandal, the timeline of arrests, the shocking statistics, victim stories, why so many innocent people were targeted, the systemic failures that allowed it, the lack of real accountability, how quiet resignations protect bad officers, and what needs to change to stop such an incident from happening again. If this story stirs up concerns about police misconduct, wrongful arrests, and lack of transparency, you are not alone. Let us delve deeper into the details. The explosive details come straight from our WSMV4 Investigates, a report published in mid-February 2026. Between 2021 and 2024, former Tennessee Highway Patrol Trooper Asa Pearl made 41 DUI arrests, specifically in Bedford County. Court records from the Bedford County Clerk's office show every single one of those cases was dismissed by prosecutors or the court. Here is the jaw-dropping breakdown. 22 drivers tested with no alcohol or drugs whatsoever were completely sober when arrested. 14 additional drivers had blood alcohol concentrations below Tennessee's legal limit of 0.08%, with no drugs detected. The remaining cases were dropped for various reasons. Pearl was unavailable to testify in court and could not recall key details of the arrests, and other evidentiary holes made prosecution impossible. One victim highlighted in the report is Ron LaFlamme, who was arrested by Pearl, despite having 0 substances in his system. LaFlamme described the terror of being pulled over, the humiliation of the roadside tests and arrest, the stress of court dates, and the long-term damage to his life and reputation. Other drivers shared similar stories, stopped on suspicion of impairment, forced through field sobriety tests, which they often passed, subjected to blood draws that cleared them, yet still charged and processed as if guilty. The emotional and financial toll was massive. Legal fees, potential temporary license issues, insurance rate spikes, job risks, and the stigma of an arrest record, even if dismissed. Why did this pattern emerge? The WSMV investigation points to potential systemic issues in Pearl's enforcement practices. Possible factors include faulty or overly aggressive field sobriety observations, poor training or failure to follow proper protocols, possible incentives tied to DUI arrest numbers. Though not proven in this specific case, DUI enforcement sometimes involves performance metrics or grants. Evidentiary problems. Officers unavailable for court, inability to recall details, or body cam and audio issues that undermined credibility. Prosecutors in Bedford County dismissed the cases because the evidence simply did not hold up. No intoxication was proven, there was a lack of probable cause for the initial stop or arrest, or the arresting officer could not testify reliably. As one attorney interviewed in the report put it, "This could happen to your child. This could happen to your parent. This could happen to your coworker." Innocent people were treated as criminals because of a trooper's errors or overreach. Trooper Asa Pearl resigned from the Tennessee Highway Patrol in 2024. No official reason was provided publicly. Neither Pearl nor the THP responded to media inquiries about the dismissals or the pattern. The most alarming part: Pearl's personnel file contains no reference whatsoever to these 41 dismissed DUI arrests. No reprimand, no internal investigation notation, no flag for misconduct or pattern of false arrests. This clean record means he could apply to another law enforcement agency, another state, or even a private security role without this history coming to light, quietly restarting the cycle, as we have seen in far too many wandering officer cases across the country. This scandal exposes deeper problems in policing. Lack of real accountability. Voluntary resignations often erase consequences, especially without criminal charges or formal misconduct findings. Harm to innocence. Wrongful arrests cause lasting damage, financial ruin from legal battles, emotional trauma, employment barriers, and eroded trust in law enforcement. Systemic sober DUI patterns. Tennessee and other states have seen recurring issues with flawed field sobriety tests, overzealous enforcement, body cam failures, or officers turning off audio. In some documented cases, officers faced no consequences despite patterns of bad arrests. The quiet resignation loophole. Officers resign before internal probes conclude, avoiding discipline and keeping records clean. No automatic decertification, no national database flag, like the National Decertification Index, which is voluntary and incomplete. As of mid-February 2026, no criminal charges have been filed against Pearl. The Tennessee Highway Patrol and Bedford County DA have not announced public misconduct investigations. Victims have potential civil paths. Wrongful arrest lawsuits, civil rights claims under 42 USDSA Section 1983 for false arrest, false imprisonment, or malicious prosecution. But qualified immunity makes these tough to win. Officers are shielded unless they violated clearly established rights. Police departments and agencies should stop shielding officers like this. Publicly terminate them for patterns of misconduct. Flag personnel files. Require full disclosure in hiring. Push for mandatory reporting to national decertification databases so bad actors cannot just move on. Transparency is not optional. T is essential to rebuild trust. What do you think? Should officers with patterns of dismissed arrests face automatic decertification or national flags? Is quiet resignation just a polite way to dodge accountability? Have you or someone you know been wrongfully arrested for DUI or faced similar injustice? Share your stories in the comments. I'll read every one and value the discussion. If this informative expose on police misconduct, wrongful arrests, and lack of transparency fired you up, smash that like button and subscribe to Team Tiggio Court TV for more in-depth investigations into DUI scandals, accountability failures, innocent victims, and systemic issues. Turn on notifications. We will keep shining light on cases that demand change. Thanks for watching. Stay safe on the roads, and see you in the next one. See you in the next one. See you in the next one.